wanted to ask about that was, when is the sequel to that coming out?
That depends on a number of things. First of all, it depends on how much I can manage to fit into it writing now around National Writers, and there are some advantages. It has some edge there in that Just Beginning is on my laptop, whereas the story I'm writing for National Writers Month is only on my desktop, so I can take Just Beginning with me on the road. So that's going to be an edge in writing that. The tricky part is how much material I can come up with that actually works for the story. Because this one is definitely going to be a lot longer, and I can't say much about why without giving away the details of the first one. So you'll probably have to guess why it's going to take longer. Suffice to say, it'll cover a longer period of time. And it's going to be it's tricky already, really, to remain comical with that without wearing anything out. I have to keep changing stuff up, coming up with new and different gags. It's going to be a while, but I'm working on it.
Okay. Oh, by the way, for the What Are You Talking About? I don't know if it made it to the final episode, but Kane asked, what's a Bowflex? Apparently they don't have those in Britain. And so, but...
Well, a Bowflex, the way I see it, is a machine for people who want to get the same exercise as if they were shooting a bow, but are too wimpy to go out to the target range. I'm just joking about that, though, actually. I'd say probably that a Bowflex is more exercise overall than stretching a bow, but hey, I grew up as a fanatic of Robin Hood, even though I only saw the cartoon movie of it once. I have a certain affinity for bows.
So there you are, Kane, straight from DT's mouth. A Bowflex is a flexing bow.
That works.
Yep. Just curious, will Itchy be appearing in any of your All Dogs fics?
Itchy?
Yeah.
I haven't decided yet, but if I do, it would either be a prequel to the first movie, I shouldn't just limit it to two possibilities because I might always come up with something later, but it would probably either be a prequel to the first movie or something written into the series, which I'm not so sure I'd want to do. If it were something based on the TV series, what I'd probably end up doing is taking an existing episode and going, well, what would happen if you did this?
That sounds interesting.
Like let's see. And have you seen the episode Charlie's Doggone Catastrophe, where the two of them had to turn into cats in order to complete a mission?
Oh, wow. No, I am ashamed to say I only saw the the first one, the first episode.
The Doggone Truth? Okay, well, in that particular episode, Charlie was really ticked off about having to be a cat, whereas Itchy was excited about the mobility it gave him. I mean, have you ever seen a cat moving versus a dachshund moving? Enough said, right? And I was thinking, okay, that's interesting enough already. What would happen if some of their friends saw them that way, like, Sasha and Bess? Or, wait, you don't know about Bess.
I saw her character profile on All Dogs First, so I got an idea. And that sounds really interesting.
Yeah, that's one possibility that comes to mind. Like I said, if I write anything pertaining to the series, which is the most likely way I'd end up incorporating Itchy, it would probably be something like that where I took an existing episode and gave it my own spin.
Yeah. I did notice for What Are You Talking About, you called it movie canon series flavor, so that was why I was asking about Itchy.
Oh yeah, movie canon, Itchy's gone. He's staying in heaven. I cannot think of anything at all plausible, even for movies about talking dogs, that would fit with Itchy coming back to Earth for whatever reason. But if anyone has any ideas, I'd be willing to give it a try.
Let's say he just winds up his watch.
Well, first he'd need a reason to do so.
Yeah, then again, in the first movie, Charlie managed to save his watch before it would have been thrown away, so maybe it's too late for Itchy to even get his, so...
That's true. I hadn't thought of that.
I've seen the first two films multiple times. I think I like the second one better, to be honest.
Yeah, I agree. I mean, I appreciate the first movie. I grew up seeing it here and there. I didn't see it as often as other Don Bluth movies, like The Land Before Time. That was my all-time favorite growing up. I still watch it now and then. That's how much I enjoyed it. All Dogs Go to Heaven wasn't quite as high up, but it was up there, so I enjoyed it. But to be honest, I was too young to really understand it. I think a lot of the time I was just absorbing, I wasn't really processing. And so, like, when he had that nightmare, that foreglimpse of hell, and I'm not afraid to say that on here because I'm talking about the place, just for the record. When he had that foreglimpse of it, I really didn't grasp that. I didn't understand. I couldn't see the depth of it like I do looking at it now. Admittedly, I was not a very insightful kid growing up. Like I said, yeah, I enjoyed All Dogs Go to Heaven, but watching the second one, I found I liked the added dimension that Sasha added to it, the personality that she put into the movie. Not just her own role, but overall, because a character's influence never stops at just that character. Her a much more interesting personality overall than Flo. Because Sasha, she was wisecracking, she was as tough as nails, at least on the outside. Flo was just there. You know? Between that and the music, the visual effects. I mean, one thing that confuses me about All Dogs Go to Heaven every time I watch it is the visual effect they have with each scene transition. Like, one time it's this spiral thing. Another time, I can't remember many of the other visual effects. The spiral thing always, for some reason, got my attention. Like, what's up with that?
Kind of noticed that, too. And I don't know if it's just the way my iTunes downloaded the movie or not, but there are a few places in the film where it doesn't even fade at all. It just shows one scene and then the very next scene. They sort of overlap a little bit there.
That's conventional, but I mean, every now and then they'd have a weird effect while they were transitioning scenes, and I was like, okay, did they do that just to experiment or something?
I'm wondering, because there was the one that comes to mind is that spiral effect that you're talking about. I know where it was in the movie. It was when they were trying to shoot Charlie with that gun, and who has that kind of a gun in 1939, but...
That too.
Yeah, anyway, so they're trying to shoot him and they miss, and Carface is just saying, "Morons! I'm surrounded by morons!" And then there's that fade right after that, and it kind of left that scene, it looked almost like they just hadn't finished it by the time the movie had to be released, so they just released what they had. That was the feel that I got for it.
Yeah, I see what you mean by that. So yeah, I liked All Dogs Go to Heaven better. It was just all around more entertaining, and at the same time, yeah, they missed. They diminished Carface's personality somewhat in that one, but only by virtue of the fact that he was alongside this drastically greater evil. Yeah, Carface, when he was the top dog, the main evil in the movie, he really stood out. But put him next to a literal demon, and it's perfectly natural that he pales in comparison.
Yeah, that sums it up pretty good. Oh, I remember my question from earlier.
Alright.
Finally. I think you've already answered this sometime earlier, but are you planning any other All Dogs Go to Heaven fanfics besides the sequel to What Are You Talking About?
Yes, I have one more called Not Over Yet, which actually I'm coming up with ideas for much more readily than just beginning, as annoying as that is. Basically, I guess I can describe the situation for Not Over Yet without giving away too much about the other two stories. Basically, Charlie and Sasha's relationship is not what it used to be. They've kind of gotten past the honeymoon stage, and now they're more or less in the Lockhorns stage. For those of you who read comics, I don't know if you're familiar with Lockhorns, if you got it in your newspaper or not. Have you seen that one?
Sounds familiar. I look more at the Charlie Brown cartoons, though.
Yeah, I love Charlie Brown, but, yeah, the two of them have reached the point where the magic is gone, and now they're pretty much just butting heads a lot of the time. She's griping about, well, I'm not sure if they'd be griping about these specific things because they're dogs, but it's at the stage where the woman is griping about things like, why doesn't he pick up after himself? And the man's complaining, why is it that she starts in on me the minute I get home without giving me a second to catch my breath? And the two of them are just not getting along anymore. And then Annabelle decides to take some action to save their relationship, their marriage. So she steps in, approaches each of them separately with some surprising advice, and I'm not going to say what it is because that would ruin the whole plot. But it leads to some hilarity on both parts, as each of them are attempting this advice from Annabelle. And can't say too much, but it should be funny.
It sounds like it. I'm really looking forward to it now.
Yeah. I will say that her advice on the surface will be extremely surprising coming from an angel.
Now you've really piqued my curiosity.
Oh, naturally. It's my specialty.
Yeah. I mean, remember when the next to last regular Toby story came out? You had me on pins and needles. Anyway, are you planning on fanfics for any of the other sites?
Well, I have one I wrote a while back for after watching Lady and the Tramp 2, and that was basically just a discussion, more or less, of the histories of some of the characters. specifically Angel, Tramp, and Buster,